Welcome. I am Jonnita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Kashka Williams. We are TSARE, and this is the There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. What are we talking about?
You don't know, we talking all things real estate.
All things real estate. Today we're going to be talking about these offers, right?
Yes. Yeah, we trying to get more people offers accepted. Like, people will call you and be like, well, why the seller didn't take my offer? Or you see a house, you had a house you made an offer on for $275 or something, and then you see when it closed at $269 or something. And the buyer called back and be like, well, how that happened? I offered $280. It's a lot more than just price that go into these offers. So we want to really educate people on the process and why so many people are winning bids and why so many people are actually losing out.
For sure.
And it's not always what you think.
That's a really nice shirt, Reggie.
Yep, it is.
I like it.
Yeah. It's gonna be super dope when I lose a few more pounds, and you can see my muscles and stuff popping through the eyes.
We're working out with Elijah.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hear more about that 280 and 269 scenario.
I was gonna say, well, go ahead, because what I was gonna say was let's kind of give our opinion about what we think the most important items in the first things that a listing agent or the seller will look at when they see an offer. I think price is number one.
Yeah, price. Well, it depends on the seller.
Agreed.
Because like I seen a listing today, and I've had these where the house is listed, but the sale is contingent upon the seller finding another house.
Got you.
Most buyers aren't in a position to make an offer on their house because, one, they don't know if the seller going to find something, and the buyer's under pressure because they have to move. So I don't want to make an offer waiting on you to find something, and vice versa. Some sellers, some buyers are making offers subject to their home selling. So in that case, you don't want to. If you can't afford to buy another house before you sell your house, you might want to wait till your house goes under contract. Because it's easier to say, hey, we're going to close on your house subject to ours closing, and you can actually show a contract on your house.
And that's still tough. But I still think that the first thing that the seller looks at is the price.
True.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
circumstances.
You know what I mean? The first thing that they look at is the price. Where would y'all say is second? So right after they look at price, they want to look at what?
Financing. Terms.
I agree.
I would say financing. And then
my financing.
What type of financing?
Financing meaning go ahead.
So financing meaning FHA, VA, conventional, or cash. Right?
And then what order do they want to see?
Most sellers, and this is where people get it mixed up. Most sellers want cash or conventional.
Correct.
Because of the fact of repairs, right? But here's the thing, probably
tip number one.
Yeah, you gotta. He about to debunk a myth, y'all.
Well, no, he about to give a tip. He about to give a tip.
So here's the thing, 99% or 95% of the buyers are gonna have a private inspection, right? Which one is more thorough, the private inspector or the FHA appraiser?
The private inspector.
So even if you do a conventional loan, this was for all my sellers out here and listing agents that tell your seller don't accept FHA, because you're not going to get around the fact that there's going to be an inspection and potential repairs, regardless of what type of deal. FHA loans can close just as quick as any conventional loans.
Cash feel the same.
Yep.
So to me, the myth there that I was thinking about is that all FHA inspections are going to require some repairs that will need to be made.
And that's not the case. It's just that when your agent comes to the house, they know, like, well, not all agents, but most agents know FHA is probably going to write this up, right? So if your intention is not to fix those items, then yeah, you might want to just stay conventional or cash terms. So sellers look at those based on the property that they're selling.
Yeah.
So y'all both missed. I thought y'all was about to say something different, because even with the FHA offer,
right,
the buyer can agree to pay for certain repairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
FHA don't care who do the repairs. They just want them done.
Yeah, so that's just as good. That's better than the conventional offer with the inspection.
Right.
True. And so a point about that conventional offer with the inspection is, I guess your point is what they can still ask for repairs.
Correct.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yep.
But that appraiser can still request repairs.
Yeah. But here's the thing too, like, so if you got a buyer, well, put it like this. In some markets and some price point, FHA buyers are going to be somewhere between 60 and 70% of the buyers. Why would you not accept FHA and just let the buyer do the repairs? Because if buyers out here paying $10,000 or $15,000 above asking price, don't you think they would pay you just the full price for the property and use that 10 or 15 towards the repairs?
That you're going to have anyway, right?
So when we said number one was price, I really think number one is net to the seller. But they all determine it by price, but that doesn't mean you're going to net more.
So I think number one should be net, but I think that number one, because a lot of people don't have experienced agents to be able to break down what the offer actually means.
Right.
I think the first thing they look at is how much.
Price.
Oh yeah, price. First thing. It doesn't mean that it's the best deal, that you netted the most money.
Right.
But when the buyer is presenting an offer, the buyer's agent should also be having a conversation with the buyer about what that seller will net. So just when you're making this offer, understand the cash in the seller's pocket is this. So then if you do these things, this is how you get the seller to net more money in the end, which could potentially get you your offer.
So Jonnita, I know the house is listed for $280, but I want to offer $260. But I'm paying cash though.
I don't care about your cash.
Right.
Cash is no longer king.
Because that
situation,
FHA buyer at $280, I'm still making $20,000 more. Right. So that's what a lot of buyers say. Well, I'm paying cash.
Yeah, or those buyers who think that no one else can pay $260 cash.
Right.
That'd be like blowing my mind.
Or I mean, even if you can, even if you can pay $260 cash, if I can wait 30 to 45 days and get $20,000 more dollars, I don't care about your cash.
Okay,
Well,
so I guess my point was like if it's $280 and then a buyer goes in and offers the seller what they want at $280 cash,
right?
And then there are people who are assuming. So people on the purchase end, there are some people that are assuming that they only have that ability.
They're
like
the
it's
only
not
person
5 other
paying
people
cash,
that can offer $280 cash.
Like everybody else didn't just sell their house and get a lump sum of money too.
Yeah.
Right. And pull their money out of 401k and got a lump sum
PPP
of money too. Like it's
Yeah.
other people out here that got money just like you do. And I think, like you said, people misunderstand. They think, oh, I got this money. Nobody else got money like me.
A lot of people had money
Right.
the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
More people than ever, I feel like.
Yep.
So we said, arguably number one is price.
Yep.
I think it's number two is definitely terms, because that's the next thing they look at. What's number three?
Number three, me personally, I think it's occupancy. Because that go back with cash, right?
Go with your net.
If I offer a seller, so cash for a seller kind of guarantees the deal because it's not subject to appraisal. This is the price I'm paying. This is what you're going to get. So if there's no appraisal to come in lower, right? There's no financing to go bad. But if I'm a seller and I also need to buy a house, I don't want to close in 2 weeks, especially if you're not giving me occupancy. So that might be too soon. I need you to take 30 to 45 days to close.
So, in terms of being next,
Right.
I'm not sure it's next. And I'm not sure that occupancy is there's going to be sometimes a scenario, but not all. Like, it's almost like, a 50-50 or 60-40. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't necessarily need the occupancy. So I think that the next thing would be your inspection.
Yeah.
Are we
no inspection, right?
Are we doing an inspection? So that inspection contingency, will you waive that contingency?
I would agree with that. I say it's a toss-up between the inspection and the appraisal guarantee. People are looking for it in this. We're talking about in this market.
In this market, yeah.
In this market, when they get their house on the put their house on the market early,
Right.
and they getting early offers, the first thing they're looking at, price, terms. All right, how much did they appraisal guarantee?
Right.
So I think in my mind, I'm going in order of the contract.
So wait a minute. So this is funny because we've all sold properties, right? And dealing with a lot of sellers, and in my situation, I would prefer occupancy. You would prefer the inspection time period, and you want the appraisal guarantee.
No, I don't. No, that's not me.
Well, I'm saying we all said a different order based on what we think. So for buyers out there, y'all have to understand each seller is different. Mm-hmm. So we said the first two in order, we all agreed, but once we got to the third one, we all had something different. And that's how the sellers are.
True.
For sure.
Because it all means something different to each seller.
Period.
Things are different.
Situation.
I literally got a question from a buyer today. And the question was, what does the seller actually want? And I'm like, well, it's listed for $179. So at the $179, it's some standard things that come along with that. And he's like, no, I mean, like, but what do they want? And I think that he just didn't understand, not like in terms of price, but there are a lot of people who don't understand that we don't know these people individually. Like there are thousands of properties on the market for sale.
Right.
And each property is attached to different owners, different agents. And then the buyers that are coming in are different buyers, different agents. Right. And so you have all these like mix of people. Variables. And so variables. Right. And so there's just no way to know. So what we're doing is this conversation that we're having right now is we're trying to foresee what will potentially be the best scenario for the seller of that particular property that you fell in love with.
So if a property is listed for $200, they need 30 days occupancy. And you come and ask me what the seller want, I'm going to say 230 days occupancy, right? I expect you to have an inspection. I expect, and if I got conventional FHA terms listed, that means I want one of those. So it's like, if you're asking me what does the seller want, that's what they want, what we put out there. So people are asking you that in most cases because they want to see if they can get something a little bit lower or if there's more competition. Well, what does the seller want? Well, they got to offer at $205. Right. Will you go higher?
So I'm going to say something, though. So I hear you. Right. Don't all the way agree. So I've had multiple where we're asking for conventional or cash. Right. Where I came in with my FHA buyer with my my FHA clause. And added the
buyer to do the repairs.
Yeah, the buyer to do the repairs, where I still get that offer accepted.
I do it all the time.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So in that situation, they did ask for a conventional, but there are ways to get your FHA offer accepted, right? But I do think financially, when you get to the net, is what you know what I'm saying. The net is what it is they're looking for. Right. You know what I mean?
But, and even like that, what you just used as an example, I think that sometimes there may be agents misinforming their sellers. Like I called on a same thing, and it was a cash, conventional terms only. And I talked to the agent. She's like, oh, yeah, I think that the semen outside isn't going to pass because it's on the city inspection report. There are a lot of times where the city, their focus is exterior. Right. And they want certain things done. And it may not be the standard for FHA as far as it being a trip hazard. Right. Like a FHA appraiser or the appraiser coming out to inspect for the FHA health and safety guidelines. Right. They may not even flag that. Right. But you got a house that's been sitting on the market for 3-4 weeks, and you're not entertaining the FHA offers because you think that the FHA appraiser is going to flag the cement because the city did.
Because that's an agent that don't understand, or they had a seller that didn't understand. They just wanted the listing. So I always put FHA, but then I'll put repairs negotiable, right? Instead of just saying as is, because you might have a buyer to come in and say, I'll make this offer FHA. I'll do all repairs up to $2,000. So anything above that, then either the seller has to do them or we kill the deal, right? So you like, again, you walk into a property, you can estimate what repairs are going to be needed. You just may not know the cost.
Or the difficulty level.
Right. So the buyer may put a cap on what they're willing to spend towards repairs too. But most buyers don't understand that, and some agents don't understand
that. A lot of agents don't understand that. That's crazy.
So where were we at? We
are price. We all agree on price. Terms. We all agree on terms, financing type. And then you said private inspection. I said occupancy, and you said
Appraisal guarantee. So
What
I
is
think
an appraisal
I think
guarantee?
those are all. I just think the order. So I guess you're looking at order as far as what they really want,
Right.
and I'm looking at it in terms of how the purchase agreements are written.
So you want to know why I didn't say appraisal guarantee?
Why?
Because most of your sellers don't even know what appraisal guarantee is until you present them with an offer with it. And the appraisal guarantee only matters if it doesn't appraise.
Look here, let me
But
tell you
it does
something.
guarantee somewhat of a price.
Correct.
Let me tell you something. There have been so many people or properties over the last 24 months
Right.
where you submit an offer
Yep.
and and it's a very good offer.
Right.
And the agent comes back and says, "Oh, my seller is looking for a full appraisal guarantee," and they don't accept the offer.
Yep.
Well, look. Well, if that's the case,
Bruh.
offer a full appraisal guarantee.
But the buyer's taking a chance. So explain what
Yeah.
an appraisal guarantee is.
So appraisal guarantee is, we're going to get some scenarios because even when we
Yeah.
explain it, they're still not going to get it. But appraisal
So
guarantee.
rude.
What? What?
He right. So
ahead.
So it's a couple ways an appraisal guarantee is, right?
Yes.
So one is where you putting a limit on it. The other is where you just guaranteeing the gap period. So a house is, the offer is $300,000, right? And you put a $5,000 appraisal guarantee in there. So if the house appraises for $290,000, you paying a $5,000 difference. So now you're paying $295,000 for the house.
So,
I want you to explain it.
No, that's
when you
a,
done.
no, that's so he just got it. So in that situation, they had, instead of getting $300,000, they only getting $295,000.
Okay.
People don't understand that. You get what I'm
But
saying?
there's one where there's no limit, where you just say, I'm giving an appraisal guarantee up to $300,000. So if it appraised for $290,000, the buyer has to come with that $10,000.
If it appraised for $270,000, you got to come with $30,000.
I never
That's
tell
what they
a
don't get.
buyer to not put that cap on there.
Yes.
Because you can open yourself up. You can get a bogus appraisal, and that boy come in, like you said, $270,000. Now you got to come with
Now you're in trouble.
$30,000
Yeah.
plus your down
You
payment,
about to lose
plus
your
your
EMD.
closing costs, plus you agreed to do FHA repairs.
Yeah.
So you done sold your baby
Yeah.
and everything. Forget
Yeah.
that nursery room.
And that's why I'm wondering, why would a person, I mean, some people can't do a full appraisal guarantee.
I
right.
understood.
That's why you put a cap on it.
Yes.
No, and some people can do no appraisal guarantee. But what I'm saying is, it's ridiculous to me that if you have no offers and your
Right.
house has been on the market for several weeks, that we can't pay. We can get this over real quick. The
Right.
buyer pays the $550 for the appraisal or whatever the cost,
Yep.
and it takes the appraiser on average about 7 days to get a full report back. Sometimes appraisers are booked and they be a little
Right.
more busy, but in general, about 5 to 7 days, we can know the answer to this question.
Wait a minute, back up. So you saying this wasn't a house that had multiple offers?
Exactly.
So your buyer wasn't competing against
No.
nobody. So they had the house listed, say at $290,000. Your buyer offered $290,000, and they said they want an appraisal guarantee.
Yes.
So if you don't think it's gonna appraise at $290,000, why'd you list it at $290,000?
Boom. But that's the hold on.
Question.
No, well here's
Right.
the answer. The answer is you have an inexperienced listing agent, right? And they think that, well, I put this out here at this number. The market is crazy right now. We're
Right.
about to get a whole bunch of offers, and then they don't get that,
Right.
So, so that's that situation. But what Jonnita was saying, if your issue is that they wouldn't accept your offer, because we were just talking about this.
Right.
Sellers are tough right now.
Right.
Just because their house been on the market for 30 days and they don't have an offer, if you come in there offering them something less than what it was that they
Yeah.
expected to get, they're not accepting it.
They not serious about selling.
No, I think they are. I just think that they feel like they had expectations, maybe
Right.
because they're
Yeah, this wasn't an
seller,
offer listing.
because they're the listing
The
agent
offer is
didn't.
meeting price and terms, so that's the conversation. If the buyer is meeting your prices and your terms, what's the problem? In your listing agreement, you didn't put a part of the terms.
Yeah, you didn't
full
go to
appraisal
appraisal
guarantee.
Goes back to
Right.
what I just was explaining with Reggie. So Jonnita has a state. She said buyers are liars.
Right.
Well, sellers are too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't always put in list
That is-
everything for what it
What
is
they
that they
want.
want.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
That's some old real estate jargon. That is not to be offensive.
Well, if you wanted $295,000 for the house listed at $295,000.
No,
and
but
see if-
listen though, they
Right.
they probably want to. I've seen a lot of the deals or listings where they asking $290. They have no way they did a CMA and
Right.
came up with that $290 number.
Right.
They only doing that based off of the fact that they thought that their buyer had a nice house, but they didn't do really good research.
Right.
And what I mean by that is you got to look at what else is on the market.
Right.
Compare in comparison to your listing.
Right. Here, you want to know the funny thing though? I guarantee you, like, let's say the house is $290. We all know it's overpriced. The comps say $275, $280, like just in that range. If you would have listed that house at $270, $275, people would have bid on it and
that's
ended
what
up
I was
bidding the
getting ready to
house
say
up.
next. Like,
Because that's the mindset of buyers right now. I always tell my sellers, look, I know you want this. We could try this and you can sit on the market for 2 or 3 weeks. Then we come back and do a price reduction.
It hurts.
Or we can list it here and have an auction effect. And now all of a sudden, everybody bidding on it. When people see competition, they go crazy. So do you want your house to be Jordans or do you want your house to be a pair of Zips?
Pro Wings.
Right. So you coming in, you create the auction effect. You want the line around the corner. You want the block looking like Walmart, and people come in there and they're going
That's
crazy.
another conversation for the buyer as well. Like, there is a difference between winning the bid and getting your offer accepted.
Right.
Facts.
Yeah. So with buyers right now,
Explain
we talked about. I want to talk about go back to the occupancy part, right? Because most people don't understand that. Like a lot of sellers are in the same situation the buyers are in because they're trying to buy after they sell or in the process. So I had one buyer, the seller accepted her offer but countered back that they had to have 30 days. The buyer was like, no, I need immediate occupancy because I need to move by a certain date. So I explained to her, okay, right now, let's just use this month, for example. Let's just say March, right? So it's probably going to be sometime late April, early May before we close. And then you got 30 days after that, right? So I'm telling her, like, look, you want immediate occupancy, but here's the reality. You already been looking for 2 months. If we kill this deal and we go back out in the market, it may take you 2 or 3 weeks to find another home. Now we back at that same time frame. And who's to say the next seller won't need 30 days? So you at this point in this market, it's best to get a seller some occupancy time if you can. But what I'm noticing some buyers are doing, they're even giving the first 30 days free and then they're paying for the other 30 days. So that's
Some people
another
give all
strategy.
of it free.
They don't be
the
caring.
60 days.
Hey, whenever you get out of there, we'll come in, right?
But make sure if
You got to have a
if you
time
don't-
frame on there.
If you don't charge them, still make sure you have in your contract a security deposit for damages.
Yeah, your
Yes.
damage escrow.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. So we talked about netting. So we're
Right.
talking about how to get your offer accepted.
Right.
One way to get your offer accepted if somebody needs occupancy is to
Right.
not charge because
Right.
that is
Yeah.
helping their net.
Their bottom line.
Yep.
Right.
You get what I mean? And so people, I mean, it's a lot of just like subtle things that it's crazy that like
Yeah, I want to hear
agents don't know.
some old. Well, it ain't old, but
Right.
it's a strategy that I don't know if y'all have heard of. And it doesn't give that much on the net, but it gives something. So
Right.
basically, where they're paying the seller's closing costs, so like their transfer taxes.
Yep. The state transfer
Yeah.
tax. Yep. It's not. So here's the thing. When you
Not
talked
enough.
about, when you said price,
It's more.
Yeah.
we agreed on price. I really would like to say net, but you'll be surprised how many sellers don't understand the
Net.
cost of selling a home. So they don't even look at net.
Yes.
So they'll get to the closing table and be like, oh,
And
this
the
all
agent don't
good?
either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
So-
why they don't understand. They haven't been educated by their agent.
Yeah, normally we give them a net sheet when we list the property to
Good.
say at
You're
this
talking about
price,
good
this
ones.
is what you'll get. But that state transfer tax, as a buyer, when you say I'll pay your state transfer tax, that might only be like another $1,000.
But it
Right?
so
But it sound good
it
to the
goes,
seller.
Yeah, but it also you're putting it on top of everything else. Like, look here, and there's some things that are within a deal that won't it'll move like if you put it in there, how am I trying to explain it?
Move
Like
the needle.
no,
It'll move
like
the needle,
no one can beat it, basically.
Right.
So like there's some things that you can do to the contract to where, so that's like your escalation clauses,
Yep.
or like if the a certain percentage, like 3% of the costs are paid for the seller, something
Right.
like that. Like there's like no matter what you do, once you add like your appraisal guarantees and your escalation clause, and then you pay a certain percentage of the concessions, like there's like no beating that contract.
Right.
Whatever you can do to increase the seller's net.
Yeah, it's
right?
giving you that extra advantage. So, like
Yeah.
the escalation clause we mentioned. So, the way the escalation clause works is, I make an offer and I say I'm going to pay $1,000 more than the highest offer, right?
Up to.
Up to. Some people originally they wasn't putting up to, but that up to, you need to have that in there.
Who was doing that?
A lot of
And you-
people. Because
hey,
they didn't
you'd
know
be
what they was
surprised.
doing. They didn't know how to
The first
write
time
it.
I wrote an escalation clause, I was like, hold on.
Up to, right. But
This
then,
can't just be open-ended.
if you write that, you need to get proof of the next highest offer, because people wasn't asking for that at first. So an escalation clause is, if I'm the buyer and I tell the seller or listing agent, I'm going to offer $250, this is my offer price, but I'm willing to beat the next highest offer by $1,000 up to $230. So offer comes in at $254, I'm automatically paying $255. Bam, Reggie got the house.
Hold on. I
Right.
got a question.
No, I know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right,
Finish
go
up.
ahead.
So, with the escalation
Right.
clause,
Right.
you're still going to need an appraisal guarantee
Yes.
Not all the time.
if it doesn't appraise.
Not all the time, but
All right,
you
tell me-
should have one.
So tell me why you say not all the time.
It depends on what your initial offer price is, because you don't know what the next highest offer going to be.
Okay.
Right? Because
So-
you don't know what you're guaranteeing yet. But I've seen people do that. This is why we're mentioning all of these tactics. So I'm coming in, my FHA offer, I'll assume the repairs up to $3,000. I'm going to do an escalation clause, $1,000 above, up to $230, right? I'll give you 30 days free occupancy, 60 days total. When you start combining all of this, it makes your offer almost unbeatable.
Until you
Made
don't,
of steel.
until it doesn't appraise though. So
Yeah,
when it
but
don't
then
appraise,
if you got
then
the
what?
appraisal guarantee, I'm good.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So now we got the appraisal guarantee. We come in. So now
You're giving them
didn't-
everything now.
Yeah, you solidified your fort. You got all these soldiers working for you to make sure your offer get accepted. But here's the problem, because I do a lot of listings. You start getting 2 and 3 offers with some of the same terms. I got 2 offers with escalation clauses. One offer got a higher offer, but a $3,000 appraisal guarantee. One is about $5,000 less, but it got a $5,000 appraisal guarantee. What's the difference between the two?
Hold on. Say the numbers again.
So you got one offer that's probably like, say $255 with a $3,000 appraisal guarantee, right? You got another offer, let's say that one is $250 with a $5,000 appraisal guarantee. How does the seller choose?
You choose
The
because
$3,000
it's
is more.
$3,000 is more. Because okay, so
It's $3,000 more.
Exactly.
Right.
No,
Right.
it's $8,000 more.
It's $3,000 if he does. What you saying is, so they did an escalation that.
No, that's an
No,
appraisal
he
guarantee.
didn't add an escalation in that one
Hold on, appraisal guarantee at $250
at
Two-
3,000.
with a
Two-
$3,000.
$250 with the $5,000 appraisal guarantee. So $250 is my basis. So
Okay.
if it appraised, you getting $250.
Right.
The other one $255 with a $3,000 appraisal guarantee. So $255 is my basis. So that's the higher offer. It kind of don't matter, right?
Yes.
Unless
'Cause
the house don't
don't
appraise.
appraise.
That's when it start. But then you start
And then if it
adding
don't
in-
appraise for a lot less, it really don't matter.
it don't matter, right?
Yeah.
And then if you add in escalation clauses with that. So the reason I brought that up, you see how it kind of shook us up for a minute? When all these buyers out here using all of these strategies, or your offer don't have any of them, after you get like 5 or 6 offers on a house, they all start looking the same.
Start doing all your nets.
And then
Right.
we present these to the seller, and they like, what the hell am I looking
So
at?
because you got to go through each one, especially those where you have like the escalations plus the appraisal guarantees, and like you said, you got 2 or 3 offers with a similar appraisal guarantee, like, yeah, you got to pull those out of the pot. So we already know these other ones don't stand a chance.
Right.
So now we're going to pull these 3 out, and now we have to focus on what the actual net is. And then we also got to go back and run our comps. Right. What is the last house that sold that was comparable to this place? Right. So we kind of already know our price. I mean, how successful are we typically in pricing, right? So then you can kind of make an educated determination on whatever it is you and your seller are discussing.
Because those aren't really strong offers, but they could be, a $3,000 appraisal guarantee and a $5,000 appraisal guarantee
may not matter.
Because I don't feel like that's a strong offer.
Right.
Right. The
reason I brought it up is because that's what we get. And then when you present it to the seller, it confuses them. So that's why we mention net. So if more buyers understand your offer is being based on the actual net, not just the purchase price, then you'll know how to use all of these other strategies in the game.
And it's not for novice. Like, you definitely need a professional guiding the process. Like, you want to understand how it's going to affect you financially. And even like when you start getting into the occupancy thing, like, how is it going to make your life, how is it going to challenge your life with certain things?
Right.
So you want to make sure you're, being guided and you have an understanding of what it is that you have agreed to. Like, we both have a client right now that I have explained the appraisal guarantee to probably, legit 5 or 6 times. And I had a conversation with the person, and I just had to say, like, gently, you're not understanding it. And man, I'm not saying that you're not understanding to be insulting, but like, no, I really need you to understand what you have agreed to. So, and then she, the person kind of got offended a little bit, and I'm like, no, it's not for you to get offended. Like, no, we need to come back. So
pay attention so that when we get ready to close, it's not an issue.
Yeah, really, because it is some serious stuff. Right. You know what I mean?
So here's another one I want to tell buyers. Y'all want to know what it is?
What it is?
Fuck them appliances.
Yes.
Like, I get so many people making offers, and they be like, well, if they don't include the appliances, I don't want it. I'm like, you want a house or you want a washer? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? You don't even have a house yet. The next house not even gonna have a washer and dryer in it.
Look, so we didn't get there. I'm the professional out here, and I still don't have my washer and dryer. I don't even
so
care.
People get caught up. You gotta we gotta.
I gave mine up with myself.
Yeah,
y'all just have it.
You understand the market we in? Like, that's like being in the weeds of everything. You want to negotiate on these terms. When you start adding appliances or just all that petty stuff, fighting over the microwave and shit, you'd be like, come on now.
So those are things. So that's gonna bring us to our next. So we say a price, terms, and then the other 3. So we're down to 6, right?
Right.
We agree that those 3 are within the top 5.
Private inspection does matter. Time frame on a private inspection or no private inspection.
Yes.
For sure.
Or some people would do a information only inspection where they're like, my offer is not contingent. I just want to make sure what I'm getting, and I hate those.
Yeah, it's stupid. And just about a house at that point.
Well, it's really them just saying, I'm gonna get my cousin over there real quick, or my dad, to just make sure that I ain't make a bad decision.
I've had real inspection reports come back after that. Like, okay, you said it was information only, so what are we talking about? But I swear, so I met my showing assistant over at a house earlier today, and when I got there,
what's a showing assistant?
Someone who shows the property so I don't have to go. I can be working on their offers in the back room while they out in the field.
So if I'm
open the doors.
If I'm a buyer, wait, you that big? You got people?
She that big.
So if I'm a buyer and I come to you and I want to see a house in Warren, and then I want to see a house in Farmington, and then I want to see a house in Ecorse, you mean you not showing them all?
No.
You gonna have your showing assistant?
Yes, and I'm also not gonna.
She got several.
Can your showing assistant
hold on.
answer questions?
No, hold on.
They should not.
Let's start here. First of all, my showing assistant is not going from town to town to town
in one time
in one day. Now, if they want to see this town on this day and this town on this day, they can do that, but not in the same day. We're not driving for 3 hours.
But they might not be available tomorrow.
They'll get it the next day.
That's not true. So I hear what she's saying.
No,
I mean, yeah, you have to be smart about how you schedule.
Yeah.
Well, so typically you have conversations with the client about their schedule, and most of the time the client also does not want to do that. They don't want to drive an hour between towns to look at these places.
But the market is
I thought they was gonna ride with your showing assistant.
Right. the market is crazy to where sometimes that may happen.
Right.
And if if we know that the buyer is serious, then we can make accommodations. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And then we have we have other showing assistants that we can give that one a break, and then that one can go. Another one can pick up and go somewhere else.
So the reason I asked that the way I did is because sometimes clients will come to us and then like if you be like my assistant gonna show the house and they're licensed, but they'll feel like you pushed them off on somebody. No, it's because I'm showing you houses. This house just popped up this morning, but already got appointments at 4. But I want you to get into this house at 4. So it don't matter if it's me or somebody else on my team. I just want to get you in the house.
And that's it right there.
It's really a benefit.
When I talk to clients, it's just, and sellers, buyers, it's about having a team surrounding you to make your life easier.
Right.
So if you understand that, the people that you have chose to service you are creating a team to support you, then I think that kind of makes them feel really good.
Especially when they see... I mean, obviously, your showing assistant or your team has to be an extension of you. So they want the same professionalism that they're going to get if you were opening the door, right?
Right.
Or showing the house. And then if you have a question, probably you don't want to ask the showing assistant. You might want to call the
actual
agent. Yep.
So it's like being a surgeon. Like the surgeon
these are agents, so we're not going. They are agents, they probably if it's your client, you want to make sure you're navigating.
That's why I said call your agent because they're not their agent. They're your showing assistant.
Right. They're just showing the property.
So what happened was, I promised that this person was over there at the doing the inspection during the showing window.
Right.
I'm almost positive that was happening.
Yep, it happens.
And I was just like, it's a great way to go ahead and get rid of that inspection contingency.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just get the inspector over there. Because a lot of times people know from the pictures in some scenarios, because there is some really good filter jobs out here these days.
Super.
But
don't go off of photos ever.
A lot of times they know already that they love that house, and then they go stand inside of it, and these people are getting on the phones with their inspectors like, meet me over here because it's the one, and I got to put us in the offer in 2 hours.
Yeah, so let's talk. So inspection period, the reason that's important is because let's say you make an offer subject to inspection. Your inspection is within 3 days. Yours is within 10 days. As the seller, I have to technically take my house out of the running, off the market for 10 whole days versus 3 days. So most sellers are more comfortable with a shorter inspection period. The issue is not all inspectors are available within that time frame. So what buyers are doing is they schedule their inspection, and then they'll say, say highest and best is due by Monday. They'll schedule their inspection for Wednesday. And if they don't get their offer accepted, they'll just cancel the inspection. And that gives them enough time to kind of vet some inspectors, ask around and stuff like that. But this way they can have that short time frame.
But remember, they're not necessarily taking it off the market, though. They're making it, they're marketing contingent,
accepting backup
which
offers.
Makes it less attractive to some people because they're like, I'm not about to get in a bid. It's not really mine. It's somebody else's. I only get it if they lose it.
Right. But it's still some notice. For the seller, it's still a disadvantage to wait 10 days versus 3 days.
Yeah.
Because now you're saying I have to wait for 10 days before I know if we're moving forward when we were supposed to close in 30 days.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You already ate up a third of that time.
So shorter inspection periods is definitely, so I feel like that's one of the top 5, though.
Yeah, shorter or removing the contingency altogether if you can. Because some people do walk into houses and they feel comfortable, and some people understand that the private inspector can't go inside walls.
Right.
They can't go in ceilings unless it's a drop ceiling, of course. Like they're not in the house like demoing walls to see what's happening.
They're not living in there. You got to live in the house. And, like, Dean had a situation where he was talking about his inspector came in there and did a bad job.
And you kept trying to say, no, you can't. No, he had a whack ass inspector.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. But
whack ass inspector.
All right, but so what's another thing that can help you get an offer?
So we talked about occupancy, escalation clauses, appraisal guarantees. We talked about paying the closing costs for a seller.
Don't do them love letters.
Oh my God! No, actually, that worked. That worked twice.
They work.
They work, but they can also
like
work
the last
against
few
you.
months.
I get it,
because depending on how you, I'm gonna tell you this: if you do a love letter. Like some agents don't like presenting them, right? I'm just
Some
being
agents
honest.
put right in the listing, no letters to the
And
seller.
what I mean love letter is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we really love your home, and we have 2 kids, and then they have a picture of their family on there.
Dog.
And we love your home, and we want to send our kids to whatever the school is, and we knew you raised your family here and all that. And the seller goes, "Oh, I really like y'all, but you 10,000 under." It don't matter. But the reason I say you can write them because sometimes they do work.
They do
I
work.
agree.
For a fact.
But the way you describe yourself in the letter and depending on who the seller is, it can be like the simplest
They
shit.
may not want no dogs tearing their house up.
Like, well,
I'm
yeah,
just playing,
true.
keep going.
But it do be like simple stuff. Like, yeah, we moved here after I graduated from Ohio State. Be like, oh, Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? The seller like, nah. Like, you know, but you laughing, but that's a real thing.
Facts.
So people have whatever their preference is because we've seen sellers pick buyers because they have something in common. And the love letter sometimes will present that something in common, but it can also present something that the sellers just be like,
whole rivalry. It's just like, my sons went to Detroit Catholic Central, so like, do not give them anything or any Brother Rice parent. They probably like, bruh, you got all blue in your house.
Well, you probably ain't gonna say that. You're probably not gonna say that because you're trying to go in the school district that you're there. But here's the thing.
It's a private school.
Yeah, that's my point. So if you're telling them that you buying this house for your kids to go to this school, it's going to be in the school district that you're buying in. You can understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But listen, so this is those are private schools. You have to pay to go there. So you're not moving to an area to go to that school. So if you want to, so you got people that's in Oak Park or certain areas that want to go to Ferndale schools or Birmingham schools, or they're in Oak Park or in Southfield. So you may say that there. Right, that's not going to work for a Catholic school.
So
or
my point was to Reggie's point, which was like it could be a negative appeal, like he mentioned Ohio State.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You could not be in the area and somebody can go to a rival. It was just to play off of the rival.
It can work for you and against you. My advice is don't send it unless when you were at the showing, if the seller was there. And you heard some little nuances that may give you an
listen,
advantage.
I don't agree with y'all. So I've had 2 offers accept Alan.
Me too.
I had people who's accepted offers based on that alone. And if that's all you have, so if you're a buyer out here and you in the fight, we just said, give them everything you got. And if you gave everything you had and the last thing you had was a letter, send a letter.
But
So hold on. I think that in the letter situation, it's exactly what I do think that it could be negative. I've had several offers accepted or on both sides, whether I was representing the seller or the buyer because of a situation.
Right.
However, when I did one for my last person I did it for, which was that doggone cat.
Yep.
I didn't have her write out a whole letter.
Right.
But in that other terms and agreement or whatever it was, buyer will take on the responsibility for caring for the cat in the yard.
Yeah.
Because they knew that cat was important to the seller.
Right. But that's why I said you got to, if you can find out information that connects the buyer with the seller, fine. But it doesn't always work.
No.
How many sellers have you had and the buyers present an offer and then they be like, do you know if this is a family or couple? And you be like, I don't even know the buyer. I'm just a listing agent, right? And they ask that because when they're asking that, they want to see another family raise their children and grow up there like they did. So if a letter is coming from a family, it may work.
Yes.
But it don't happen all the time. I've had one seller, we got a letter in, the lady offered $250. The house was listed for $255. And he was like, he looked at the letter and she was just saying how much she loved the house and all of that. And he was like, man, you know, if circumstances was different, I'd probably let her have it for $250. And as he was reading the letter, he was like, well, if she really loved it, tell her give me $255. Like that's every seller is different.
Cool though, but that's cool. So all she had to do was come up $5,000, and that happened because of that letter. But if she hadn't sent that letter, then he may not. She wouldn't have got the offer.
But we've had it the other way where the sellers just said they didn't even know they seen people coming through the house. And they couldn't remember, because when you send an offer, you don't see the people.
Yeah, not always.
So you don't, like if you come through, I may or may not ask your name, ask the seller, and I may or may not remember it. I may remember your agent because they left a card, maybe left a card with their face. But then when I get the offers, I don't know who is who. I'm looking strictly at the numbers. When you send that letter, then the seller be like, oh, this that couple I really didn't like because they said they didn't like me. No, for real. This is real life.
You can't help every situation.
That happened with one of my sellers. She was like,
yeah, I don't like them because they kept saying they don't like my basement.
Like, she was out there standing there talking to because she was moving because of the neighbors. She was out there cohorting with them neighbors.
Yeah, yep. So,
like,
so hold on. Listen to what y'all saying. Two different things. Y'all saying it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always work.
It's like a 50-50 shot.
It doesn't always work.
Right.
However, if you're a buyer in this market right now, and you don't have $30,000 to offer a $30,000 appraisal guarantee, and all you have is a letter, and if you can find something once you did that walkthrough, especially if it's a family that's still in the house.
Right.
Because we're talking about, most of the time, this only works when there's somebody that's normally still in the house.
Right.
But whatever the circumstance is, if this is all you got, shoot your shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's going to work.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it doesn't always work the way you plan it out.
And
so be careful.
It could be the thing that sets your off. So if they got several offers, the top two was yours and another one, they were very similar. It could help make, break the tie.
That's possible.
Shoot your shot.
So, anyways,
you got the bullets. Don't leave any bullets in the chamber.
Key point, Shaka, for getting these offers accepted. Come on, we about to wrap it up.
I think we just argued
One more
about
time.
the last thing.
Run through.
Yeah, get with somebody that's gonna help you negotiate the right terms that you can afford, and don't have the fear of missing out. Like, oh, I gotta have this house, and you overpay and you regret it. Because NAR had a stat.
But that's not helping you get the offer accepted, though.
But I'm just saying, NAR had a stat like most of the people that brought their homes in 2020 or something, they were dissatisfied with their purchase.
Look, come with your strongest offer first. Right? Don't play.
Yeah,
so
keep
whatever amount of money that you have to offer, don't try to get the deal. Don't try to save the $10,000 because it may end up costing you more than that, depending on your situation in the long run. Shoot your best shot the first time.
Yep.
All right. Always present the offer that if it doesn't get accepted, you're not gonna lose any sleep over it. And that is a wrap.